Most people think discipline is about suffering. So there are basically two categories in life: the fun and the unknown. In the fun, watching TV, waking up late, eating junk. And in the annoying, waking up early, eating healthy, studying, not wasting time. And the general assumption is that the right things fall into the suffering category. So we believe that in order to be successful, you have to suffer. But what if that entire assumption is wrong? Now, I used to struggle with discipline for the majority of my life. I didn't wake up early. I was spending hours a day eating. I didn't study for tests. I was writing down what I should do every day, but never did it. And I definitely didn't do enough for the dreams I had. Now, keep in mind, this was during a period when I knew I needed to change. I wanted to change. I was already into self-development. I was watching all of these motivational videos, but I just couldn't do it. I promised myself every single day I'm going to change, but I just didn't do it. And all the gurus were just telling me, just be disciplined. But what they didn't show me is the full picture, because when my brain heard push through the pain, suffer now, enjoy later, what my brain actually heard was disciplined life equals suffering life. And who actually wants that? Now, eventually I did become disciplined, and how I did it is a topic for another video. But at the time, I really tried to follow that mindset of hard is for good and enjoyment is equal bad. And for a while it worked. I improved. I got into what we call 5-unit English and 4-unit math in Israel, which is basically some advanced classes you can take in high school. I was exercising, I was eating 3 normal meals a day instead of snacking all day. I was not wasting time doing all the things I'm writing down every day I need to do. And from the outside, I was disciplined, but from the inside, life didn't feel any good. Because every time I enjoyed something, there was this voice in my head telling me enjoyment is bad. And every time I suffered through something, I just heard this voice saying, this is good, keep suffering. So while it did put me on a path better than before, because I now suffer and achieve stuff instead of just suffering and not achieving anything, it still made my life pretty miserable. But here's the strange part. Time passed and I actually became more disciplined than most people I knew. And one day I was talking to a woman about discipline, and I told her what I believe, that discipline equals suffering. And she told me something that completely changed how I see it. She told me that she actually enjoys making her kids go to bed early, even though her friends obviously don't. And then she said, you can decide to enjoy anything. For some reason that stuck with me, because I realized that some things that used to be hard for me were already becoming easier. My body started having much less cravings than before, and waking up early, like at 5 a.m, was also something that felt kind of natural. And even doing all the stuff I wrote down to do was something like that was also obvious to me. Like, I sometimes saw people who don't do what they say they would do, and I thought, like, why do you do that? Like, it's obvious you should do what you're saying yourself you're gonna do. And then I thought to myself, if some hard things can become easier with time, maybe they can become enjoyable too. So I decided to test it. I was doing a plank exercise, and instead of just suffering through it, I closed my eyes and flipped it. This wasn't suffering anymore, it was a ride. A ride on a Luna Park I chose. And as my body started shaking in the plank, I imagined it was just from being thrown around on the swings. And the urge to stop felt kinda unreal. like a trick. The ride was just playing on me. And I also tried to immerse myself in the experience. My hands touching the floor, my legs pressed against the ground, my clothes against my body. I listened to the birds outside, to the cars driving by, to the neighbors, to the sound from downstairs, and I really tried to convince myself I was going through something special, that this moment was amazing and perfect, exactly as it was, that I didn't need to wait for anything else. And for a moment, I just wished this beautiful experience would never end. Now, eventually I held this plank for about 5 minutes instead of my usual 1 or 2, and it actually felt good. And then I started applying this everywhere, like even in the dentist. Like, instead of thinking this is terrible, I really tried to enjoy it. And I can tell you, being in the dentist while trying to enjoy it, where there's just suffering, is a completely different experience. I even noticed something else, that sometimes when I enjoy things small, they go better. Like when I write and enjoy it, people enjoy reading it more. When I learn English through movies and TV, I improve faster compared to forcing myself through boring academic text that felt hard and didn't work. And that's when I clicked. Discipline is not about suffering. Success is not about suffering either. It's about expanding your enjoyment zone, not getting out your comfortable zone. Because when you repeatedly do hard things, they stop feeling so hard. You change. What once felt difficult becomes natural, then easier, and eventually can even become enjoyable. And there's another way to get there. If you train yourself to enjoy the moment, you start rewiring your brain to enjoy the very things you used to resist, and you become disciplined without the suffering. So I want you to try this, like right now. Imagine you're in a place you love, somewhere that feels fun to you. Maybe it's a Luna Park, maybe it's a zoo, a trampoline, an escape room, a lake, the sea, maybe even a museum. Just pause for a second and picture it. And now bring your attention to the present moment. Like, feel your legs on the floor, your hands resting on the keyboard, the air gently touching your skin, your clothes against your body, and then just loosen everything. Like, loosen your jaw, your neck, your eyes, your forehead, your shoulders, your belly, your legs. Let this relaxing energy just fall onto you. And now gently shift your attention and ask yourself, what's interesting about this moment? What's something you can appreciate right now? Maybe it's something simple like staring at the screen and having access to the internet, something that a third of the world doesn't have. Or maybe it's something else, something simple but real in your own life. Just take a second and notice how unique your situation is. How many things are already working quietly in your favor. And now softly in your mind say, this moment is amazing. This moment is perfect as it is. And stay with that for a second. And notice, nothing actually changed, but your experience did. So I hope this video gave you a completely different way to look at discipline. And if you want to go deeper into what discipline actually is, you can check out my recent video about overeating. I dive into it more there. And if this gave you something, even just some perspective, I'd really appreciate it if you liked and subscribe. It encourages me to create more content like this. And thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.